Welcome to another Thursday on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we have a quite delightful topic, which is the deities and ET, or extraterrestrials. So our topic comes from Encrypted Raven, and they write, "I'm not sure if this issue has been thoroughly discussed on Pagan Perspective, but is it possible that the gods/goddesses that are mentioned throughout history in the pantheons are not really gods/goddesses, but extraterrestrials? It seems that nearly every single pantheon has matching stories, but with slight variation, hence the idea that all the gods/goddesses were all in the same. So thank you for your time, blessed be." So the question of whether it's possible or not, yeah, why not? Really? Do I think that it's very likely? I don't think that that's the most likely answer to why we see these similarities. And the reason would be, one, Fermi's paradox, which I'd like to put out there, which if you're not familiar with, it's actually a really interesting kind of Wikipedia rabbit hole to go down. I know that the original Cosmos, I think the most recent, the new redo, probably one of the episodes talks about it, I'm sure. I'm sure there was a study episode. So I would invite people to take a look at that. The other side of that, though, is that I think that the similarities could be explained because of the connection between cultures, and that a lot of cultures, they're sharing and borrowing from each other, but they also come from have common origins. And we're always figuring out more about how we think humans spread throughout this planet, but we do think that at some point we were all in one area, right, when we were evolving first as a species, and then of course there were other groups that went off here, and then some of them died, and then we bred back in with some of them and all of that, and we're still kind of trying to figure that out. But that we really haven't been so spread out for that long of a period. The estimates are going to change, but even if we were spread out for very long, this planet isn't that big, and there probably was a lot more communication between groups than we usually think that there was, and we usually give credit for in today's world. So I think that's a much more likely answer. It's not as fun an answer. I think that the idea of aliens coming to Earth is a really fun one, and the particular one that is mentioned here, that maybe, hey, the ancient gods were actually aliens, has been a very popular science fiction theme. Some of the more famous ones would be Stargate, or I guess Marvel, right? Even though the comics present it more like they're actually gods, but the movie canon has it like they're aliens. So there's lots of examples like that. So it would be fun. That would be delightful. I'd like to personally give human creativity the credit, the credit for that. The question as to whether I think that there are, aliens out there. I think the numbers, when we start looking at how big the universe is, I think it would be just preposterous to say that we're the only life. And because of technical restrictions, we haven't found it yet. But we can't go very far yet on the galactic scale. We've barely even sent anything. Voyager's the furthest thing we've sent out, not including our radio transmissions and whatnot, the physical object that we sent out, and we barely got past the heliosphere. So But if we think about how many stars there are, and we were to say, okay, so if life could only exist on an Earth-like planet, there's got to be billions upon billions of Earth-like planets out there, just looking at the sheer numbers of how many stars there are in this galaxy and how many galaxies that we can see, right? And we think that there's probably a lot more than we can see. And I think that the idea that life could only exist in an Earth-like setting is a very narrow view of life, excuse me. You know, I'd be pretty shocked if there isn't life just around the corner in Europa or in below the surface on Mars or some of the other moons or terrestrial planets. I mean, who knows? We really have a lot to learn. So, you know, life being out there, how similar they are to us. I mean, the universe is huge, so statistically there probably is some sort of civilization out there that is similar to us, and it's actually kind of cool to think about that somebody else out there might be wondering if we exist. You know, we always think about how we wonder if they exist, but maybe they're wondering back about us, and that's just kind of exciting to think about. But would they be similar enough that we could have recognized them? That's an awesome question, and if they were similar enough, could they have gotten to us? Maybe they could be communicating in a way that doesn't require their physical presence. Maybe physical presence doesn't mean the same thing to them. Maybe they have a totally different understanding and relationship to space-time than we do. There's just so many questions to this, and I've probably started rambling quite a bit about it, but I love the topic of astrobiology, which is what this is really touching on. And human history is fascinating too, and how do cultures evolve, and our ideas, and all of that. So I don't really have many answers outside of that, yeah, sure, why not? That seems like a totally possible thing. I don't find it likely, but it's delightful to think about. So we have another pretty awesome topic coming up next week. And let us know what you think in the comments below. So take care.